This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the US. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I realize Hurricane Milton has made landfall and is currently making life miserable for the people of Florida. We're going to have updates on that for the next 4 hours and in just a minute with Dominic Carter, who has covered more than his fair share of inclement weather over the years. But for starters, I got to share with you what is absolutely the foremost thing on my mind, which is the New York Mets' incredible victory over the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets are now headed to the National League Championship Series. We don't know if we're going to play the Dodgers or the Padres yet, but it's incredibly exciting. I was at that game, and I was there when the place erupted with Francisco Lindor's game-winning grand slam. My goodness, bless this Met. Francisco Lindor has had the kind of season that players can only dream about, and it was so wonderful to be there for it firsthand. I have been calling this Met team a team of destiny, and I stand by that. But you know what I didn't realize until I was perusing the gift shop and spending way too much money on merchandise after the game? You know what the last two words of destiny are? The last two letters, of destiny are? NY. Just like the NY on the Mets cap and logo. An incredible game, and really just a magical thing for not only the Mets and their fans, but for New York in general. To be there with this sellout crowd, and honestly, I don't think I sat down, except for at one point when I was trying to eat a sandwich or something. I don't think I sat down for any point during the 9 innings. It was just so exciting. And even when we were losing for a good portion of the game, it was like the crowd was just waiting to erupt. It was phenomenal. It was magical. So here we go. Mets will face either the Padres or the Dodgers beginning Sunday in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Dodgers had a big victory over the Padres last night. I will tell you, Edwin Diaz certainly made it interesting in that 9th inning when he walked two batters, and you saw a lot of Met fans very, very nervous, even the people behind me shouting, "Take him out! Take him out!" But it was a lot of fun, and my thanks to my very good friend Jason Goldman for inviting me to come with him to the game. We had a blast, and it was just such a magical moment. Hopefully, even if you weren't there at the game, you got to enjoy a little bit of that Mets magic as well.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com. The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good Morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Well, more and more of you have been writing to me asking to explain the 6 propositions on the ballot. So what I said I would do is kind of take one a day. I don't know that we did one yesterday, but I explained why I'll be voting against Proposition 1 earlier in the week. And the 5 city proposals, Propositions 2 through 6, I have to be honest, I'm going to vote on them, and I'm going to explain why I'm voting the way that I am. They don't really matter that much. The truth is, if you vote yes or if you vote no, it's not going to make that much of a difference. So why are they even on the ballot? Well, they're on the ballot because of this political tug of war between the city council and the mayor. The city council wanted to put its own proposition on the ballot, essentially giving them, the city council, advise and consent over some of the mayor's appointees. And the mayor used this provision in the city charter, which, if he puts a question on the ballot, lets him knock off the city council question on the ballot. This is being done. All of these propositions are basically being done to make sure the city council doesn't get to put their question on the ballot. I hope that explains the context between the council and the mayor and how these propositions came to be. On to proposition number 2. What is it? Proposition 2 on the ballot this year is about cleaning up New York City's public spaces. If passed, it would expand and clarify the Department of Sanitation's authority to keep streets, parks, and city properties clean. It also requires waste to be disposed of in containers and would give the Department of Sanitation more control over how New Yorkers put their trash out for collection. Supporters believe this could improve the city's cleanliness by empowering the Department of Sanitation to clean more thoroughly and more often. They see it as a necessary step to manage the city's waste more efficiently and ensure public spaces stay cleaner. However, opponents raise serious concerns about the expansion of DSNY power. Some fear this could lead to over-policing and increased surveillance, especially in vulnerable communities like street vendors. Organizations like the Legal Aid Society, for instance, and the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project argue that the proposal could negatively impact the people who are just trying to make a living, potentially opening the door to unnecessary fines and scrutiny. Despite these concerns, which I definitely give credence to, and I understand why people may come to a different conclusion, I'm voting yes on Proposition 2. We all know how bad the trash situation has become. If we want to live in a cleaner, healthier city, we need to give the Department of Sanitation the authority to enforce these rules and ensure that public spaces, whether it's parks, streets, or even highway medians, are kept clean. It's a step towards making New York City a place we can be proud to call home again.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
It's no secret that the New York City Sheriff's Office has been struggling to keep up with its many responsibilities lately, but under the leadership of Sheriff Anthony Miranda, what was once a well-respected, multifaceted law enforcement agency has turned into an inefficient mess, and it couldn't come at a worse time for the city. Let's start with what's happening on the ground. Deputies from the Sheriff's Office are supposed to serve orders of protection for domestic violence victims. These orders are critical in ensuring the safety of those most vulnerable, and they require deputies to make 3 attempts to serve them at different times. But that's just not happening. Why? Because the sheriff's office is so busy cracking down on unlicensed weed shops that deputies simply don't have the time or manpower to properly serve these protection orders. In fact, multiple deputies have come forward anonymously, fearing retaliation, to express how overwhelmed they are. They're making just one attempt, sometimes none at all, because they're stretched too thin. All the while, domestic violence victims are left waiting, wondering if their abusers will be served with the orders meant to protect them. And what does Sheriff Miranda say in response? He claims his office is compliant with all legal requirements. But when deputies are saying repeatedly that they can't do their jobs because they're pulled away to deal with cannabis enforcement, it's clear something is seriously wrong. The fact is, Miranda's focus on shutting down unlicensed weed shops is taking resources away from more urgent tasks. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be shutting down the unlicensed weed shops. I think we should. But maybe they need more resources. Maybe we've got to figure something else out here. The fact is, this is a huge problem. Miranda's focus on shutting down these weed shops is taking resources away from more urgent tasks. Since May, the sheriff's office has led a much-publicized crackdown on illegal cannabis stores, closing over 1,100 shops. Yet, during that same period, they've fallen behind on other key responsibilities like serving orders of protection, executing evictions, and even transporting people for court-ordered psychiatric assessments. But wait, it gets worse. The Department of Investigation is now looking into the sheriff's office for allegedly mishandling cash seized during cannabis raids. Reports are alleging that DOI searched Miranda's office after cash from these operations was found hidden in a safe. Miranda, for his part, denies that his office was raided and insists that the money is accounted for and that everything is documented properly. He blames the discovery of the cash on bad record keeping dating back to 2018, but this isn't just about poor bookkeeping. There's growing concern that the sheriff's office isn't operating with the transparency and accountability New Yorkers deserve. We've got to do something about this.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by SelectQuote. Life insurance can have a huge impact on our family's future. With SelectQuote, getting covered with the right policy for you is simple and affordable. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents will tailor your experience to find a life insurance policy for your needs in as little as 15 minutes. And SelectQuote partners with carriers that provide policies for many conditions. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Go to SelectQuote.com/SpotifyPod today to get started.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
The Bronx District Attorney's Office should be known for its integrity, but Jessica Rosado, a top official in the Crime Victims Assistance Bureau, has made a mockery of her role. In a scandal so bizarre you'd think it was a storyline from a bad sitcom, Rosado pressured her colleagues, none of what I'm about to say is a joke here, to help her win a Fab Over 40 contest. This wasn't just a bit of friendly competition. No, she relentlessly hounded dozens of her underlings to vote for her and even donate money for her cause, all in the name of securing a $40,000 prize and a luxury spaycation or spa-cation. I guess that's what it is. It's a spa vacation. You heard that right. The woman in charge of helping crime victims was coercing her staff to vote for her in a beauty contest. And what makes it even worse is that she didn't just send a few emails, she bombarded 38 people over and over with messages that weren't about their work or serving justice. Instead, they were reminders to vote for her in a contest. It's bad enough that she was pestering her staff to vote, but she took it a step further by asking them to contribute financially. 4 staffers ended up coughing up a total of $81, and 17 employees actually voted for her, likely just to get her off their backs. In one email, Rosado wrote, "Have you voted for me today? Please vote every 24 hours and share with friends and family if so inclined." She even sent messages while on vacation, reminding staff from the Mediterranean Sea to keep voting. If that's not a sign of desperation and narcissism, I don't know what is. This woman was earning nearly $167,000 a year as a special assistant in the DA's office, yet she thought it was okay to use her position to win a contest for financial gain. The law is crystal clear. Public officials cannot use their office for personal benefit. But apparently, Rosado missed that memo because not only did she break the law, but she also shattered any notion of professionalism. She wasn't fired until April, but how did it get that far? How did someone with this kind of judgment rise to such a high position in the Bronx DA's office in the first place? Imagine the victims of crime, the very people her bureau was supposed to help, finding out that the person in charge of their assistance was more interested in winning a beauty contest than doing her job. How could anyone take her seriously after this? This isn't just a story of poor judgment. It's a display of stupidity at a level that's almost hard to believe. Jessica Rosado has no business prosecuting criminals or working in any position of public trust. If she can't handle her own responsibilities without making a fool of herself and abusing her position, she certainly can't be trusted to handle the serious matters that come with being in the DA's office.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.